Welcome to the Mindset Coach podcast, brought to you by the Mindset Coach Academy. I'm Lara Young, your host and Master Certified Coach. Whether you're a seasoned coach or just starting your coaching career, this podcast is your go-to resource for all things mindset, coaching, and personal development. Each week, we bring you expert insights, practical strategies, and inspirational stories to help you become the best coach you can be. Our guests range from leading industry professionals to successful mindset coaches who share their secrets for creating lasting change. Plus, I'll be answering your burning questions and sharing tips from our ICF and multi-accredited Mindset Coach certification program. So, if you're ready to elevate your coaching game, stay tuned and let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to this week's episode of the Mindset Coach podcast. I'm delighted to be joined by Renee Reyes. Renee is a dynamic thought leader, certified hypnotherapist, and NLP coach. Armed with a psychology degree from Westchester University, she spent the last 6 years honing her skills in small business consulting and sales. It was through the very techniques she now shares in her coaching programs that Renee liberated herself from generational scarcity, paving a way to a life she once only dreamed of. Driven by her passion for empowering women, Renee combines her experience in NLP and consulting to help entrepreneurs take strategic action and achieve sustainable profitability in their businesses. Renee received her hypnotherapy and NLP certifications from the Mindset Coach Academy, and she's fully dedicated to empowering women to embrace a wealthy mindset so they can thrive in their dream ventures. Welcome, Renee.
Hi, thank you for having me, Laura.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. And you've been up to a fair bit since we last got together on the training. Do you want to just explain to everyone how you've come into coaching and what your careers look like for the last several years?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for having me on again. I would say, I've always been pretty passionate about just learning about mindset. I did study psychology, so that was my first love. I remember just being so intrigued with the mind and wanting to figure out how I could help people. So after I, got out of school, I did some kind of social services kind of work for about a year. And then I went into sales because I wasn't making any money, so I thought I couldn't make any money in the psychology field, which is a pretty popular belief that, people have around here. So I got into sales. And sales was great. It really introduced me to a lot of different things. I learned a lot about consulting small businesses, but really I just hit a point where I was hustling too hard. I was working, I was exhausting, and I wasn't even making that much money. And so that's really when I dove into my own mindset work and specifically work around cultivating a wealthy mindset or an abundance mindset. And so it was during that transformation where I really honed in on these strategies. And I did pretty much everything from listening to podcasts, reading books, therapy, hypnotherapy. And I really hit a breakthrough in my financial situation. So I had this epiphany that I wanted to do this and help specifically other women that wanted to start their own businesses with cultivating a wealth mindset. And that led me to finding your program, the Mindset Coach Academy, which was absolutely so aligned with everything I was looking for in a program. And that leads me to what I'm doing today as a mindset coach for female entrepreneurs.
Yeah, brilliant. It sounds as though that whole journey that you've had has really equipped you to be able to work with women on their wealth mindset as well as on business growth and business development. Can you?
Exactly.
Yeah, it sounds like a really good combination. And I'd like to explore a little bit more about, you mentioned wealth mindset and abundance mindset. So how would you define those things and how do we know when we've got one?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the really important thing about mindset is that it's not just a cerebral type of concept. It's not just something that you think about in your head. For me, it's really something that you're embodying and you're acting on, as well as just a perspective and way of living your life. I believe that a wealth mindset, or I think it could be also interchangeable with an abundance mindset, is something that you embody regardless of your external circumstances. So for, one of the biggest things you have to cultivate is a sense of trust and an inner knowing that things are going to work out for you, that there's always enough resources for you, that, money will be made again when it's spent, versus more of a scarcity mindset, which would be thinking that there's not enough resources or always being afraid of when the next sale is going to be. So it takes a lot of practice and deep inner work and healing of, subconscious blocks that we've all grown up with from childhood. But in the end, you're left with a really resilient mindset that believes and sees life in this abundant, full way and ever giving way, regardless of what your outside circumstances look like.
Yeah, brilliant. And I love the fact that, so what you're saying is it's not just about money either, right? Abundance and wealth.
Exactly.
So give us some other examples of things that we may see coming in if we've got that abundant mindset other than money.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point, because at the end of the day, although we're looking to make extra money, we're not actually chasing money. We're chasing feelings, opportunities. We have deep desires to connect with people. So that would be, knowing that there's always opportunities that are lined up, that are aligned for you, versus settling or working with people that you don't want to work with. So there's abundance in opportunities, there's abundance in experiences, in joyful emotions.
And I think it's so important because, you talked earlier about trusting ourselves, but also and trusting our capability as well, that there is wealth, there is abundance around us. And it's also trusting ourselves to notice those things when they show up. And because I think so many people define wealth in one very specific way rather than noticing all of the wealth that they're attracting around them. And then what they have is they have lack, they have scarcity, right? Mindset. So, and that's really important. And I think that point about trust is so important because there's two elements. There's trusting yourself, right? That you've got the capability and you're worthy and you're able, but also trusting the way the world works, right?
Exactly.
That things are going to come to you. So tell me a little bit about that concept of trust and how you would help your clients to really build trust within themselves.
So when it comes to trust, I pretty much have a little bit of methodology, which first comes with uncovering the root cause of what caused the mistrust in themselves and working through that, whether it's through timeline therapy or hypnotherapy, because we really just want to address the root moment that this happened, because otherwise we're just kind of addressing the symptoms or the symptoms of that distrustful behavior, right? So after we uncover what the root cause of that distrust, then we work on rewiring that limiting belief or that mindset for something that's going to be more resourceful for the client. And we can do that by helping them identify what skills and capabilities they already have, identifying times in the past where they've been able to reach their goals or do the things that they set out to do, and really just working through reinforcing, I should say, that mindset and supporting that mindset to really just, hone in and have a repeated pattern to convince the subconscious mind that really, in fact, this new, more resourceful, positive belief does actually exist. And we do find evidence for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a couple of really key things there. One is that we want to go to the root cause. Where did this originate from? And, timeline therapy is so powerful for doing that, as well as with hypnotherapy. So that we're actually helping our clients to learn the lessons from some of those patterns. Oftentimes, as you say, they're not even theirs, right? But they take them forward. And then the other key is reinforcing with that evidence that, yes, it is possible, and that I'm really looking for evidence of this showing up in my life, of this new empowering belief or decision showing up in my life. So what are some of the things that your clients come to you with? And it may be to do with self-trust, but what sorts of things are they doing or not doing that mean they really need to cultivate that wealth mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of times I'm seeing behaviors that indicate that we're stuck. So behaviors such as procrastinating or being frozen, not knowing how to take the next step. maybe overthinking the next step. And so they're just not ending up doing anything at all.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're also seeing women undervaluing or underpricing their services and not being able to have those conversations with their customers or seeing the value that they provide. So, and that way they're literally, not making enough money to reach their goals because they're undervaluing their services and not trusting themselves to have these conversations as well, or trusting that it's going to be well received by their customers.
Yeah.
Some other things we see as well as just maybe anxiously worrying about the next sale coming through, or anxiously, overworking, over hustling, being caught up in that hustle culture because we don't trust that there's enough resources that are going to come in from what we're doing and that what we're currently doing is enough. Yeah. So really, I'm seeing these two, they're kind of opposite behaviors that all come from similar roots of overdoing and just being stuck and procrastinating, being frozen.
Yeah. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because they ultimately have the same impact, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. So I love that you mentioned as well about, pricing. So let's look at that for a minute in terms of, knowing value and knowing the value of the transformation that their business offers to their clients. What sort of things, because, you've come from a background of psychology and sales, et cetera, and business consulting.
Yeah.
So what sort of things do you do with your clients around things like pricing that are, those very practical things, I suppose, in terms of, supporting that wealth mindset?
So really, we want to make sure that they understand the value that they're putting into their services or their products, because a lot of times we're looking at just the quote unquote time being spent on delivering the service, but I really have them list out every single possible benefit outside of just the time that's put into this product as to how this is going to help their client. Yeah. And the more we do that and we repeat and really just talk it through and, instill some confidence as well and anchor that confidence in the process, that's really helpful with helping everybody see what their real value is and what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times people will go out and they'll crowdsource pricing and look at what other people are charging. And that's the key missing piece is, what is the value of the outcome that I'm providing or helping my clients to achieve? And that is so key when it comes to growing a business, but also stepping into the value of the value of the service, the value of the product. And that energetically kind of transmits as well. Right, when we have a belief in our pricing and our products. And the other thing that's interesting too is those two different energies that you said were polar opposites, which is procrastination or being stuck or overwhelmed, not taking action, and then being in this hustle mentality, like I'm so anxious about the sale. So talk to us a little bit about those two, which they seem to be on this either end of the spectrum, but they have the same result. Right.
Yeah. So a lot of times we see that there's a root cause of having a fear of failure and even having a fear of success.
Yeah.
So both of those can manifest in different ways, but they still have the root cause of fear of failure or success. Actually, let's just talk about fear of success, for example. Yeah. A lot of times we're finding out that the reason that they're not taking the next step is because they're actually afraid of what could happen and what kind of pressures and newfound responsibilities are going to happen if they do make it, if they do meet their goals, which, consciously, this isn't something that we sit back and we tell ourselves, oh, I'm afraid of success. This is something that's subconscious. Yes. And as we know in the mindset work, our subconscious minds rules 95% or so of our behavior. So this is why, discovering that root cause is really key here. When it comes to hustling, they're also afraid of hustling. I guess I would say would be more of a fear of failure and a fear of messing up and not doing enough. And here they're really afraid of the outcome of what could happen if, say they don't meet their goals, or say the way that they get there doesn't look like they initially thought so. So instead of just sitting back and letting things flow and letting things happen, they're over promising, over scheduling, just overextending themselves to the point of burnout. And in doing that, oftentimes they don't show up 100%. for
Yeah.
themselves. So they end up, coming across some failures as a result of that anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Got
Exactly.
no energy
Exactly.
to do it. And also sometimes what happens is that people will reduce their prices and discount to an extent
Hmm.
where, in an effort to get clients in. But then what happens is when they start working with those clients, resentment can creep in. And that's not a brilliant energetic match
Yeah,
for service, for helping clients to achieve the results that they want. So, yeah, I mean, it
exactly.
is. And I love that you pointed out, like, people do have a fear of success just as much as they do as a fear of failure. In fact, probably
Hmm.
more often, because when we succeed, it means that, we may actually lose friendships, lose connections, things will
Exactly.
change for us. We have to continue keeping going on at that level. So, yeah, it's really interesting. So, how do you tell us about how you work with your clients then? Just give us an example of, someone wants to work with you, they're a small business operator or entrepreneur. How do you work with them, Renee? What happens?
Yeah. So I invite anyone that wants to work with me to schedule a discovery call because I would just love to hear more about the goals, the visions that they have for their transformation, and just make sure that there's an alignment between, what I can offer and what they're looking for.
Mhm.
And then from there, we would dig a little bit deeper, find out a little bit more about the history of what's going on with the challenges, and then take it from there. And the best thing about working with me is that all of my programs are personalized and tailored to what the client is looking for. So really, I take special care to make sure that each program is designed to really meet the needs of every individual person I'm working with.
Hey there, coaches. I just wanted to take a moment to remind you about our Mindset Coach certification program. This is not just any certification. It's an ICF and multi-accredited program designed to provide you with the skills, knowledge, and confidence you need to transform lives. If you're serious about elevating your coaching practice and making a lasting impact, visit our website at mindsetcoachacademy.com to learn more. It's your opportunity to join a community of passionate and dedicated coaches. Awesome. So if I'm a client, if I'm a prospective client, and I'm sure there's people who are listening who are interested in the work that you do, what are the sort of things that may be happening for me that would indicate that working with you is a great solution or the solution? So what sort of things
Absolutely.
might be happening in my life, in my business?
So some things you might be noticing is, the feelings of procrastinating or just feeling stuck.
Mhm.
Maybe you're overthinking as you're making new plans for your business or trying to take the next step and you really just can't see a way of moving forward. So
Mhm.
that could be one of the things that you're experiencing. Or another thing that you're experiencing is you're just not meeting your financial goals and you have no idea why.
Yeah.
Because my background's also in small business consulting and sales, that's something that I can look into to see, is this mostly mindset? Is this business strategy? And most likely it's a little bit of both, right?
Yeah.
And then lastly, some things you could be looking at is also just feeling burnt out. Just, you're doing a lot of activity, but it's not necessarily getting you very far. And again, you're feeling resentful. You're not working from a place of joy and trust. You're kind of working to make the next sale or make, your next money or meet the next client. And it's just you're feeling burnt out and know that something's got to give.
Yeah. And that's so important. So I know that people will be recognizing themselves in that. And I love that you're able to bring the mindset work, the strategy work, but also tactical and practical techniques,
Yeah.
tips and tools as well to your clients so that they can apply them in real time. So you work with clients one-to-one, and then you also have a
Yes.
group program coming up. Is that right?
Absolutely. So I'm pretty excited about this group coaching program. It's going to be in just a couple of weeks on November 11th. We're going to be starting a group coaching program with, female entrepreneurs in the first 5 years of their business. So this is going to be a great opportunity for you to meet like-minded women who are on the same journey as you, because oftentimes I'm sure, anybody can understand that the entrepreneurial journey kind of feels a little bit lonely. So this is really just a good opportunity to be in a trusting container of women that share the same struggles with you and are going to share the same successes with you as they're going through this program as well.
Yeah, brilliant. And so how long is the program? Tell us a little bit more about the length of it and the kind of structure, what's included, because I know people will be interested in hearing all of that.
Absolutely. So it's going to be a 12-week program. We're meeting once a week with 2 different cohorts. So there's a little bit flexibility with choosing, what day works best for you. I have a Tuesday evening Eastern time and Wednesday evening time available. And part of the program is going to include my 3-step methodology of uncovering the root cause, rewiring those limiting beliefs, and pairing that with aligned strategy, aligned action. So we're going to do a little bit of group hypnotherapy, visualizations, guided visualizations, strategy work like anchoring, and really just a lot of good mindset work in there. So it's going to be really supportive. There's going to be additional sessions that I'll have one-to-one with each student, which is nice because that way you get some personalized support opportunities outside of just that group environment.
Yeah, I love that. I love that hybrid approach, where you actually have the group container where people can get together. There's a level of support and collaboration in there. Everyone's going through the program at the same time, getting the tools that they all need and can apply, but then also working with you one-to-one to have that more intensive, in-depth work and look at the root cause of maybe what's going on for them specifically, and then also how to specifically apply those tools and techniques, both for their wealth mindset and then also for their business. So exciting stuff. We will put a link to that program down below this episode. So do go and check it out. Have you got a name for the program, Renee?
I do. It's called the Abundance Activate Her. So it's a nice play on words for activator, because really we want to activate that foundation of having the abundance mindset. So this is the Abundance Activate Her.
Awesome. I love it. I love that name. It's brilliant. And it does what it says. It does what it says on the tin, which we always like, because, people can get a real sense of what's involved just by hearing that. So we'll pop the link to that below.
Perfect.
So is there anything that you'd like to share with people, just in wrapping up, about a mindset tip or something that you'd like to leave with people that will really help them to step into that wealth mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that, I always get asked, what's one thing that I can do every day to try to figure out where these mindset blocks are coming from or what exactly is going on? Because like I said, oftentimes we're looking at the symptoms of the behaviors and not the root cause. So one of the first things I would say would be easy to do is to just start noticing where your triggers are at. Start noticing what kind of activity is making you feel uneasy in your body, what kind of conversations about finances and money are kind of giving you an activation type of feeling in your heart. And I think that's going to be a good indicator of where the work is to be done. Just starting to notice what sort of things are we dreading in the day-to-day of running the business. And then from there, we can gently explore, where is this coming from? Or when's the last time I felt this way? Was there anything in my past that kind of made me feel uncomfortable about this? And just gently exploring. But I think number one, the easiest thing you can do is try to expand that awareness, because that's the first thing that we can do.
Yeah, and I think one of the keys there, isn't it, is that, we do have patterns that we keep repeating over and over again. And so, even for people, if they find they're procrastinating, well, what specifically do you procrastinate on and what has to happen? And then, what is getting that emotional response, or what's sending you into that overdrive of, hustle mentality? What's the trigger for that? What has to happen? And doing that analysis will really give people much more information about where they can look and where they can do the work that is so powerful. And when we come to looking at mindset, and you mentioned as well that you're really passionate about helping women to overcome that generational scarcity and that generational influence. Can you talk to us a little bit about maybe how that influenced your life and career, and how that could potentially also be influencing your clients without them realizing at the conscious level? It's all running.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can speak from experience. I was an immigrant to the United States. I'm originally from the Dominican Republic. And so from a young age, I was very motivated and knew from a young age that I, quote unquote, needed to make a lot of money. And so I remember even being 5, 6 years old, worrying about money and where it was going to come from, because I saw my dad worrying about money and came from a family that didn't have, much at all back home. So it was something that was very instilled in me from a young age that I needed to work hard to have money. So I grew up always having multiple jobs and never feeling like I had enough money, and never knew where the next $10 bill was going to come from. So it wasn't until I dove into this mindset work and realized, how to make money with ease and with joy, and opening myself up to also receive, like when I had it, and enjoy it when I had it, that I really felt the impact of this work. And so that's something that I talk about often, in my Instagram, on my LinkedIn, just that pressure that it feels like you're doing the right thing by worrying about these things and by overworking and trying to be the breadwinner in the family. But a lot of times it comes at a cost, to your happiness, to your joy, to your health, even sometimes. The stress of making money can really make a huge impact in a negative way. So I would say this is something that's really important and near and dear to my heart, that there's a way where you could do both. There's a way where you can make money, have joy, be at ease, and give back to your community. And it doesn't have to be this all sacrificing thing.
Yeah. Excellent. I love that. And I love that you're able to share that experience, which I know will resonate with a lot of people. And that's why you're so aware as well of the impact that this can have. And it, on the face of it, it's really positive, let's work hard and earn money and, do all those things. But as you say, it can come at the cost of happiness and joy and health. And that's absolutely what we don't want to have for our clients.
And choosing to do the wrong things too. Like you might be, taking up jobs just for money and just being miserable because you're not being authentic to yourself and your true desires.
Yeah, absolutely. I really think that, with that foundation of understanding of where those beliefs come from and those behaviors come from, and then being able to say, I'm releasing myself from it now. I'm not going to do that anymore, because there is another way. There's another way to believe. There's another way to show up. And that's so empowering. And so when we talk about activate her, abundance, activate her, I love it, because it's activating not just at the conscious level, but clearing all of those past blocks and sabotaging behaviors, really bringing that subconscious and unconscious mind into it. So that's really exciting. Been great talking to you.
So great being here, Laura.
Yeah, we're going to put all of Renee's links down below. And you can check out what she's been doing and saying on LinkedIn and Instagram. We'll put those below. We've got the link to the group program, the Abundance Activate Her, which starts on the 11th of the 11th this year. And I'm sure there'll be further rounds. So always stay in touch, because if you're listening to this episode after October, November 2024, then I'm sure that Renee will still be up to incredible things when you do tune in and hear it. So get in touch with her. And thank you so much, Renee, for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. And I look forward to seeing you and continuing to see you flourish and grow in your business.
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate it.
That wraps up today's episode of the Mindset Coach podcast. I hope you found it as inspiring and informative as I did. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow coaches. Your support helps us reach more people and continue to bring top-notch content every week. Remember, you can always learn more about our ICF and multi-accredited Mindset Coach certification program, our coaching membership, and other training opportunities by visiting mindsetcoachacademy.com. Thank you for tuning in, and keep striving to become the best coach you can be. Until next time, this is Lara Young signing off. Stay motivated and keep transforming lives.